I see you. So,
And Steve, I feel like one of the ideas that you've been coming back to is that yes, test scores matter, and only looking at data from test scores is wholly insufficient as we're talking
mhm.
about this. Can you talk more about the forms of data that you feel like are often really effective in schools in terms of
Yeah,
what data teachers might be collecting, what those formative assessments might look like, just to give us more of a vision of that?
so the very technical way that we do achievement teams is that usually the assessments we use are short cycle assessments, Katie. They're given over the course of 2 to 3 weeks, not like a whole semester, because then the data becomes stale. So I like these short cycle assessments based on a learning target or two. And for sanity of teachers, they're usually selective response. You can actually assess very rigorous things with correctly worded selective response items.
Mm.
And we know that if we have a standard that has a DOK level 4, well, we probably could never use true false for that type of rigor. But if we have like DOK 1, 2s, and 3, I have a formative assessment information sheet that tells teachers the kind of items you should have based on the verbs in your standard. This is
Mm.
actually, it's on our website. People can go get it for free. But the other thing is authentic performance tasks, Katie. What if I don't teach a traditional ELA math or social studies class? What if I'm a PE teacher or I'm a music teacher or an art teacher? Those folks can still collect information based on the performance of the students. My website, steveventura.com. But based on the performance of how students can perform the mile run or 2 and 3 dimensional
Mm.
art, or can you play a chromatic scale? Well, you can totally assess that and say, well, what's the proficiency rate on your chromatic scale? We can pre-assessment, then adjust our teaching and post-assessment. So either it's authentic performance assessments or they're diagnostic pre-post assessments. There's so many different ways we can assess kids, but it doesn't always have to be paper pencil, or a computer. I mean, we can have kids perform their proficiency. And I still think it's a good data set. I think sometimes using nonfiction writing prompts is a great way
Mm.
to assess kids because the scoring guide's the same. It's a holistic scoring guide, 4, 3, 2, and 1, from excelling to beginning. So if you teach physical education and I teach art, and you gave a nonfiction writing prompt in PE, like how to serve a volleyball, and I gave a nonfiction writing prompt in art, like what's the importance of
Oh,
two-dimensional art? Guess what we have in common? The same scoring guide. So you and I could still be on the same team, even though we gave two different assessments. What we agree on is it a 4, 3, 2, or 1? And all of a sudden, I bring all the specials together that have non-traditional things that they teach. So many ways that we can assess kids. A lot of people say, but I'm not a writing teacher. I'm like, you don't have to be a writing teacher to get kids to write about something that you've been teaching. Anyway, those are some ideas, but I think mostly the assessments should be to inform the impact of our teaching. And the mindset for this comes straight from visible learning. Like every day, we think about how much impact we had. And we can only do that if we evaluate what difference we're making. And as I mentioned before, I think the assessments we use, depending on the instruction we use, are really more of a reflection of the effort of the adults than the kids, because we're the adults in the relationship, and we're teaching that content. So hopefully that makes a little sense too.